we're doing today is I kind of wanted to go over a few things as far as I didn't do a complete tear down of this, just trying to hurry up and get it done, but I'm sure you can find some tear downs on a 460 or big block Ford timing cover, but it's similar to replacing the water pump. Just a few more bolts and you gotta pull the crankshaft pulley. I think it was maybe 7 additional bolts plus crankshaft pulley, so really not much more. I think there's 4 in the lower part of the timing cover, and then there's 3 that run through the oil pan, and then that timing cover will pull off. Of course, once you get the harmonic balancer and all that off. So what Ford did starting in, I think, 1972 was to help with emissions, they retarded the cam timing on these engines. And I've seen things say anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees at the crank, which would be 4 to 8 degrees at the cam. And the way they did that, from my understanding, is all they did was change the bottom crankshaft pulley and, offset it 4 degrees, retarded, so that it changed the cam timing, or 2 degrees, depending on which one. I've seen conflicting things. Most people say 4 degrees across the board. Some say that, they started around 2 degrees and then they went into like 4 degrees later on. I really don't know, but this should be retarded cam timing. What I've done is, since we're in here replacing the timing cover gasket, we might as well address this. The chain has slop anyway. That's a good bit. It's of course tight on this side because I was turning the engine over. But we've got it where we've got our mark here straight up, top dead center. I was 180 off. I didn't pull a plug. Went by the mark and by the thing here, but when I pulled it apart, the mark was up here. But from what I can feel, it doesn't feel like the cam timing is straight down. So what we're probably gonna have to do is we're gonna have to rotate the crankshaft to where we get the camshaft timing straight down, and then because that's gonna be the easier thing to turn. I really don't want to mess with the turning the camshaft once this is off. It has a tendency, you start messing with rotating the camshaft, and the lifters and the valve spring want to put, it's like if it starts coming down off a lobe on the camshaft, the valve springs want to just push it and turn the camshaft. So I try to just leave it alone once it's in position. So I'm gonna have to get in here and look, but I'm pretty sure it's not straight up and down. If you look, it's off. So we're gonna have, it looks like it's off by 1 tooth. If you look at it, that casting mark in the block, that's straight up and down, and you can see the mark before it is lined up, but this mark is not. Now, I don't know if that's 2 degrees, I don't know if it's 4 degrees, but it's off. So we're gonna get it to where it lines up, get the camshaft where it lines up. Crankshaft's gonna be not at top dead center, but once we remove the timing chain, we will then rotate the crankshaft back to where the mark is straight up. Then we're gonna put our new timing set on. And let me show you that. Here's the part number. It's Chloe's. It's good quality. This is not like it's definitely an upgrade, but it's not like a crazy, 10,000 RPM camshaft. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cough. But it's a double roller timing chain. And it's got 3 different marks. So we'll have to look in the instructions to see what each mark means, but I would assume that one's probably straight up, and then one of them is going to be retarded, and then the other one's going to be advanced. We're going to put this straight up. So you may ask, well, you should go by your camshaft recommendations, and yes, you should. on any aftermarket camshaft, you should go with what they recommend. If they recommend straight up timing or advanced or retarded. But from what I can tell, looking at part numbers, I've been digging through all kinds of stuff on this. Ford, between 72 and my 75 or 71, when it would have been a straight up timing set, or 70 or 69 or 68, you look at those and you look at the part number for the camshaft, and it's the same part number as the camshaft that's listed for this car. So to me, that tells me Ford did not change the camshaft and, you know, put a camshaft in here designed to have retarded timing. They just retarded the timing. They were looking for an easy fix for emissions. They retarded the cam timing, you know, made these things lazy but improved the emissions on them. So we're gonna turn that back around and undo that and put in a straight up timing set. So one other thing to think about when you do this, you're now changing the ignition timing as well. So we're gonna have to check ignition timing when we're done, dial that back in, because it's not gonna be correct. It's gonna be off by 8 degrees. Well, if this is truly 4 degrees at the crank and 8 on the, yeah, it's off by however much it was retarded before. So if this was retarded by 4 degrees, we're gonna be off by 4 degrees on there, or if it was by 8, we'll be off 8. So I needed to check timing and all that anyway, so we're gonna take care of all that. But definitely, if you're in here doing water pump or anything like that, and if you're doing the water pump, you really need to replace this timing cover gasket, because I did not, and it was leaking afterwards, so I should have just torn into it and did it all at once. But here I am tearing it back down to do this. But definitely a good upgrade for these cars. Everything I've seen, you know, says, you know, definitely improved low end torque. So quick, easy upgrade, and you know, it needed it anyway. So I'm gonna get busy. I will show y'all once I get done. I'll show you any little tips, tricks, whatever that I find along the way. But I'm gonna go ahead and just pop the harmonic balancer on it just for a minute so I can turn it and get that cam timing correct. All right, it may not be quite lined up with that casting mark, but that casting mark may not be straight up and down. From what I can tell, you know, if I'm looking at this mark here, it looks just about correct. We'll find out once we try to slip this on if it's correct or not, and we can always slip this other timing set back on to line it back up better. But to me, that looks like it's straight up and down, and I think we're ready to remove the timing chain. All right, time to rotate the crankshaft slightly to get everything in line. But you can see we got our dot here, and we're using the circle dot according to the timing set. That is straight up, and of course you can see it lines up with the keyway. So we got the keyway here on the crankshaft, the little dowel pin on the camshaft are lined up, and then our dots are lined up. We are straight up timing with our new gear. We just need to put the bolt back in with the water pump drive, and then we're done with timing. I'll have to clean up gaskets and all that kind of stuff, but we're done here, and we're now straight up timing. Again, going to have to adjust the distributor timing. Looking at the old timing chain sprocket, this is what runs on the cam or on the crankshaft. You can see how they did it. So see our timing mark, it is off from the crankshaft. So that's why when we had our crankshaft straight up, the timing, the camshaft mark was off. If we actually would have lined up this mark, then our I couldn't see that mark because it was so grungy. But if we would have lined up that mark, that would have lined up with the camshaft mark, and we would have seen that we were, if we put the harmonic balancer on it, we could see exactly how many degrees. But I think it's probably like 4 degrees from what I've seen, reading. Like I said, some people said anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees, or 1 to 4, or I don't know. But the most common thing I've seen is 4 degrees. So there's our proof. So like I said, I had to turn I wanted to get everything in line. I pulled everything back apart so I could clean up my gasket surfaces, but I wanted to make sure we were all good beforehand. I guess I could have done all that and then put it on, but I just slipped it back off. It's all in time now, straight up, and yeah. So this should be a nice little upgrade for this thing. Well, now I've just got a waiting game. Center bolt, blue Loctite, torque to 45 foot-pounds. That's kind of a scary amount of torque for that little bolt. I was cringing, but it's torqued. The little shield is on. I've cleaned up the seal surface on this piece. You Ford guys, let me know. I mean, to me this looks like you would end up leaking oil out the center of the I guess there's just not enough flowing through that area. Maybe that keeps it from getting over here. I don't know, but it just seems kind of, I don't know, just seems odd. And does all this get oiled from the runoff from the camshaft? Maybe that front camshaft bearing, does it run off and oil the chain, or does it sling off a camshaft over at the distributor? Maybe, I'm guessing one of those two. Anyway, I'm not going to put this on until I put the cover on. Cover have to go on before this, so we really are just waiting on the cover. I've cleaned up this surface. I'll do one last pass with a rag sprayed with brake cleaner just to take that flash rust off. Got a little bit of, it's flat, but I'm not crazy about it, so we're gonna run some RTV silicone on this whole thing. And in that corner, I haven't even looked at my instructions. I'm assuming they'd say there's little half piece pan gaskets that go in here. I'm gonna assume that they say to RTV those corners, so we'll RTV that. And I mean, won't go crazy with stuff, but I think it needs something. So yep, we've got a waiting game going on. So we're all back together. Spare you all the details on this. You can check out the other video I did of doing the radiator and timing cover, but we've got a new timing cover on it. The old one was corroded, unable to use it. It actually was leaking from the timing cover itself. I don't think it was actually the gasket that was the issue. There was a little pinhole in the timing cover, but it's all back together, and we've got it all timing and everything set on it. But yeah, if you want to check out that video, it's the last video I posted. Maybe I'll put a link right up here to it. But that's gonna do it for this video. I appreciate y'all sticking along with this project. I'm probably gonna knock out some other hop over to some other projects since we've got this thing, in a kind of running state where we can move it around if we need to. We'll get to that probably in the next video that you see on this. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.